He blocked her car. She confronted him, unaware he was her boss.
Hello, everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let us return to our main character. She was already running late. The digital clock on her dashboard blinked 7:58 as she turned into the crowded parking lot, her heart pounding harder with every second. Morning sunlight bounced off glass and concrete, and the office tower rose ahead like a reminder of everything that could go wrong if she walked in after 8. She circled once, twice, then she saw it. A black sedan, parked carelessly at an angle, blocking her small gray car completely. No space to squeeze through, no driver inside, just her car, trapped, boxed in like it did not matter. She slammed her palm against the steering wheel. Not today. She checked her phone. No missed calls, no messages. This was her 3rd week at the company. New hire, probation period. One more mistake, and she knew exactly how replaceable she was. She took a breath, opened the door, and stepped out. The air smelled like asphalt warming under the sun. Her heels clicked sharply as she walked toward the sedan, anger pushing her forward faster than fear. She scanned the lot, eyes searching for anyone who looked responsible. Then she saw him. He was standing near the elevator doors, tall, calm, adjusting the cuff of his sleeve like he had all the time in the world. No rush, no concern, just quiet confidence in a navy jacket and pressed slacks. She marched straight toward him. "Excuse me," she said, her voice tight. "Is that your car blocking mine?" He turned slowly, surprised but not defensive. His eyes met hers, steady and curious. "Yes," he said, "it is." "That car is completely blocking mine," she continued, words spilling out now. "I am late for work and I cannot get out." He glanced back toward the parking space, then back at her. "I will move it," he said evenly. "When?" she snapped. "Because I am already late." For a brief moment, something like amusement flickered across his face. Not mocking, observing. 2 minutes, he said. She crossed her arms. "You should not park like that. This is an office building, not your personal garage." There it was, the line she would replay later in her head. He studied her, really looked at her now, from her clenched jaw to the way her fingers trembled just slightly at her sides. Not anger alone. Pressure, fear, determination. "You are right," he said. "I should not have." That response caught her off guard. She had expected irritation, maybe arrogance. Instead, he sounded calm, reasonable. Still, she did not back down. "People have jobs to get to," she said. "Some of us do not have the luxury of being late." He nodded once, as if filing that away. Understood. Without another word, he walked past her toward the car, keys already in hand. She watched him go, chest still tight, unaware that this small confrontation, born from a blocked car and a bad morning, was about to change everything she thought she knew about power, respect, and the man she had just spoken to like a stranger. She did not know yet that she had just argued with her own boss. She got into her car just as the black sedan pulled away. Her hands were still shaking as she started the engine. The clock now read 8:03, 3 minutes late. It felt like a verdict. She drove out of the parking lot faster than she should have, her mind replaying the confrontation again and again. The way he had looked at her, calm, measuring, almost curious, not offended, not rushed. That bothered her more than if he had yelled back. Inside the building, the lobby buzzed with the low hum of Monday morning energy. Polished floors, security gates, people walking fast with coffee cups and laptops tucked under their arms. She blended in, or at least tried to. As the elevator doors closed, she finally let out the breath she had been holding. "Pull yourself together," she told herself. This job mattered. The salary mattered. The health insurance mattered. She had worked too hard to lose everything over a bad morning and a blocked car. Her phone vibrated. A message from her team lead. "Conference room B, do not be late." Her stomach tightened. The elevator climbed. 10 floors, 15, 20. When the doors opened, she stepped into a hallway lined with glass offices and framed mission statements about innovation, leadership, and integrity. Words that felt heavy today. She slipped into conference room B just as the last few people were taking their seats. "I am sorry," she whispered, sliding into an empty chair near the end of the table. Her team lead glanced at her but said nothing. No smile, no frown. Just a note made somewhere behind tired eyes. The room settled into silence. "Good morning," the team lead said. "We will begin shortly. The executive team is joining us today." That sentence sent a ripple through the room. Straight backs, closed laptops, phones face down. She stared at the notepad in front of her, trying to focus on the pen between her fingers instead of the pounding in her chest. This was not just any meeting. This was the meeting. The one everyone whispered about in the break room. The one where first impressions stuck. The one where people either disappeared quietly or suddenly became promising talent. The door opened. She did not look up at first. Footsteps crossed the room. Calm, unhurried. Then she heard his voice. "Thank you for waiting." Her pen froze. That voice. She lifted her eyes slowly, almost against her will, and there he was. The same man from the parking lot. The same navy jacket. The same composed expression. The same steady eyes that now swept the room with quiet authority. He stood at the head of the table. Her heart dropped so hard it felt physical, like missing a step on a staircase. "No. No, no, no. This is our chief executive officer," the team lead continued. "He wanted to meet the new hires personally." The words blurred together after that. Chief executive officer. Her boss. Her own boss. The room filled with polite greetings and attentive smiles, but all she could hear was the echo of her own voice from minutes earlier. "You should not park like that. Some of us do not have the luxury of being late." Heat rushed to her face. Her ears burned. Her stomach twisted into a tight knot of dread. She looked down at her hands, suddenly unsure where to put them, how to sit, how to exist. He did not look at her right away. He spoke about the company's direction, about values, about accountability and respect. His tone was calm, measured, confident, the kind of voice people trusted without realizing why. Then, slowly, his gaze shifted. It landed on her. Just for a moment. No recognition flickered across his face. No smile, no judgment. Just a brief pause, like a bookmark placed quietly in a chapter yet to be revisited. Then he looked away and continued speaking. She barely heard the rest of the meeting. All she could think was one terrifying question. How badly had she just ruined her future? The meeting ended without incident. At least, that was how it looked from the outside. Chairs slid back, laptops closed. People gathered their notebooks and whispered about action items and deadlines. The chief executive officer thanked everyone for their time and exited the room with the same calm confidence he had entered with. She stayed seated for a moment too long. Her legs felt heavy, like they belonged to someone else. When she finally stood, the room was nearly empty. Only her team lead remained, organizing papers at the front. "You okay?" the team lead asked, not unkindly. "Yes," she said too quickly. "Just processing." The team lead nodded, already distracted by the next task. "Welcome to corporate life," she said lightly. "It gets easier." She forced a smile, then walked out. But it did not get easier. The rest of the morning passed in a blur. She answered emails she barely remembered reading. She stared at her computer screen without seeing it. Every sound made her flinch. Every passing shadow felt like a summons. She kept replaying the same moment in her head. The parking lot, his car, her voice. Why had she said so much? Why had she not just waited? "Because you were scared," she told herself. "Because you are always scared." At noon, she retreated to the small break room on her floor, clutching her coffee like it might ground her. She leaned against the counter and stared out the window at the city below. From up here, everything looked distant and orderly. Cars moved in neat lines. People crossed streets on schedule. Nothing looked chaotic. Nothing looked like her life felt. She had taken this job because she needed it, because rent was due every month, whether dreams came true or not, because student loans did not care how talented or exhausted you were. This was supposed to be her fresh start. Instead, she had managed to insult the one person who could end it with a single decision. Her phone buzzed again, an internal message. "Can you stop by my office this afternoon?" Sent from executive assistant. Her breath caught. This was it. She typed back a polite confirmation with fingers that suddenly felt numb. The afternoon crawled. Every minute stretched longer than the last. She watched the clock change one digit at a time, each tick louder than the one before. When it was finally time, she stood, smoothed her blouse, and walked toward the executive floor, like someone heading into a storm. The office was quieter up here, thicker carpet, softer lighting, everything designed to make noise disappear. The assistant greeted her with a professional smile and gestured toward a closed door. "He will see you now." Her heart pounded as she stepped inside. The office was spacious but understated. No excess, no gold, just clean lines, a large desk, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. He stood by the window, hands in his pockets, back to her. "Thank you for coming," he said without turning around. "Yes, sir," she replied, her voice barely steady. He turned slowly, studying her with the same calm curiosity from earlier that morning. "You were late today," he said. "Yes," she admitted. "I am sorry." He nodded once. "Do you know why that meeting mattered?" "Yes," she said. "First impressions, accountability." "And yet," he continued, "you still spoke to me the way you did in the parking lot." Her throat tightened. "I did not know who you were," she said quietly. "I know," he replied. Silence settled between them. Heavy, but not hostile. He walked back to his desk and picked up a thin folder. He did not open it. He simply rested his hand on it. "I noticed something this morning," he said. "You did not apologize until after you realized who I was." Her chest ached. "That is not true," she said, then stopped herself. "I mean, I would have apologized anyway. I just did not get the chance." He watched her carefully. "You spoke honestly," he said, "not politely, not strategically, honestly." She swallowed. "I was frustrated. And afraid," he added. She did not deny it. He closed the distance between them just enough to lower his voice. "Most people are very careful with me," he said. "They tell me what they think I want to hear. You did not." She looked up, confused. "I am not sure yet whether that is a problem," he continued, "or something else entirely." He paused, then stepped back. "For now," he said, "consider this a conversation, not a warning." Relief and uncertainty tangled together in her chest. "Yes, sir," she said again. As she turned to leave, his voice stopped her. "Next time," he said calmly, "do not assume you know who someone is based on where they stand." She nodded. Understood. She walked out of the office with her heart still racing, unaware that the very thing she feared losing had just shifted into something far more complicated, because the mistake she thought would destroy her had only made her unforgettable. She returned to her desk quieter than before, not defeated, just altered. The office sounded different now. Keyboards clicking, phones vibrating, low conversations drifting over cubicle walls. It all felt sharper, closer, as if the day had leaned in to watch her. She opened her task list and forced herself to focus. Emails first, reports next, one foot in front of the other. By mid-afternoon, a new message appeared in her inbox. Subject, cross-functional review, from Executive Office. Her pulse jumped. She opened it slowly. The message was brief, professional, almost casual. She was being added to a small working group to help review a stalled internal project. 3 people total, short timeline, high visibility. Her name stood out on the list like a question mark. She read it twice to make sure she had not misunderstood. Why her? She was the newest hire on the floor. No political capital, no special title, just someone still learning where the supply closet was. Across the aisle, a coworker leaned over the partition. "You got it too?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "Did you?" He shook his head. "Lucky you. That team reports directly upstairs." Upstairs. Her stomach tightened again. The first working session was scheduled for the next morning. That night, sleep did not come easily. She lay awake replaying the day, searching for hidden meanings in every word, every pause. Had the conversation in his office been a test, a warning disguised as patience, or something else entirely. By morning, she arrived early, very early. The parking lot was half empty, the sky still pale with the last traces of night. She parked carefully, checking twice to make sure she was perfectly within the lines. No blocked cars today. The meeting room was small and glass-walled, tucked away from the main floor. When she arrived, one of the other team members was already there, reviewing documents. "Morning," he said. "Morning," she replied, setting her bag down. They talked about the project at first. Numbers, delays, bottlenecks, safe ground. Then the door opened. He walked in without ceremony, carrying a tablet instead of a laptop. No jacket this time, just a crisp shirt, sleeves rolled slightly at the forearms. "Good morning," he said. They stood. "Please," he added, "sit." The meeting began immediately. No introductions, no speeches, just questions, direct ones. What is slowing this down? Who benefits from keeping it that way? What are we missing? She listened at first, careful, measured. Then something shifted. One of the problems being discussed was familiar, too familiar. She had noticed it during her second week, but assumed it was not her place to say anything. She hesitated. Her pen hovered above her notebook. Then she remembered his words. "You spoke honestly." She cleared her throat. "There is a reporting loop that no one wants to challenge," she said. "It adds 2 days to every review cycle." The room went quiet. The other team member frowned. "That process has been in place for years." "Yes," she replied. "And it made sense years ago. It does not anymore." She expected resistance. Instead, he looked at her with interest. "Explain," he said. So she did. She laid it out simply, calmly, without apology. Where the loop came from, why it was outdated, how it could be fixed. She finished and waited, heart pounding. He nodded once. "That aligns with what I have been seeing." He turned to the others. "Why has no one addressed this?" No one answered. The meeting moved on, but something fundamental had changed. Afterward, as the others filed out, he stayed behind. "So," he said, leaning lightly against the table, "you almost did not speak up." "Yes," she admitted. "Why?" She hesitated, then answered honestly. "I did not think it was my place." He studied her for a moment. "Whose place do you think it is to point out what is broken?" She did not answer. He straightened. "You were right yesterday," he said. "Some people do not have the luxury of being late. Others do not have the luxury of staying silent." He picked up his tablet. "Do not lose that." As he walked out, she remained seated, heart steady this time. For the first time since the parking lot, she did not feel small. She felt seen. And somewhere between fear and relief, something else had begun to take shape. The days that followed settled into a strange new rhythm. Not dramatic, not obvious, just different. She noticed it in the small things first. Meetings where her input was not overlooked. Emails answered faster than before. A subtle shift in how people listened when she spoke, as if an invisible weight had been added to her words. She told herself it was coincidence, but she knew better. The working group met every morning that week. Short sessions, focused, no wasted time. He was always there, asking questions, challenging assumptions, pushing for clarity. And every time, he treated her the same way, not like a subordinate, not like a problem, like someone whose thoughts mattered. Still, there was a line, clear, unspoken. She called him sir, he called her by her name. Their conversation stayed firmly inside the boundaries of work, even when something warmer hovered just beneath the surface. Until Friday. The meeting ran longer than expected. A vendor issue turned complicated, and by the time they wrapped up, the office had thinned out. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the glass walls. She packed her bag, ready to leave, when he spoke. "Do you have a few minutes?" Her heart skipped, but she nodded. "Yes." They walked out together, not toward his office, but toward the elevator. Silence stretched between them, not uncomfortable, just full. The elevator doors closed. The hum of movement filled the space. "You handled the vendor situation well today," he said. "You did not back down." She smiled faintly. "I almost did." "But you did not," he replied. "That matters." The elevator stopped in the lobby. They stepped out into the quiet, nearly empty space. Outside, the evening air was cool. The city buzzed at a slower pace now, less urgency, more breath. "My car is this way," she said, gesturing. "So is mine," he replied. They walked together. When they reached the parking lot, she hesitated. Not because of fear, because of memory. He noticed. "You are parked safely today," he said lightly. She laughed before she could stop herself. A short, surprised sound. "Yes," she said, "very safely." They stood there for a moment, the space between them charged with something neither named. "I owe you an apology," he said suddenly. She looked at him, startled. "For what?" "For putting you in a position where you felt exposed," he said. "That conversation in my office could have gone very differently." She considered his words. "You did not humiliate me," she said. "You could have." "But I did not," he replied. "Because you did not deserve that." She nodded slowly. "I should apologize too," she said. "Not because you are my boss, but because I assumed things about you." He smiled. Not the polite kind, the genuine one. "Then we are even," he said. They exchanged a quiet look, one that lingered just a second longer than necessary. "Well," she said, breaking the moment, "have a good weekend." "You too," he replied. "Get some rest." She drove home feeling lighter than she had in weeks. Over the weekend, she tried not to think about him. She cleaned her apartment, did laundry, called her sister, grocery shopped, normal things. But his voice kept surfacing in her mind, calm, curious, unassuming. On Monday morning, she arrived early again. As she stepped into the elevator, someone held the door. It was him. "Good morning," he said. "Good morning," she replied. The doors closed, lifting them upward together. This time there was no tension, just a quiet understanding. As the elevator climbed, she realized something had shifted. The mistake that brought them together was no longer the center of the story. What mattered now was what came after, and neither of them was quite ready to admit how much they were beginning to care. The invitation arrived on Tuesday morning, subject line only, no details. Company town hall, mandatory attendance. Her stomach tightened as soon as she read it. Town halls were rare, formal, public, the kind of event where leadership spoke and everyone else listened, where names were mentioned carefully, if at all. She tried to tell herself it meant nothing. Still, the atmosphere in the office shifted as the day went on. People dressed more carefully, conversations softened, laptops closed earlier than usual. By late afternoon, the main auditorium was nearly full. She took a seat near the middle, hands folded in her lap, eyes fixed on the stage. The lights dimmed. A low murmur swept through the crowd as executives took their places. Then he walked out. The room fell quiet without being asked. He stood at the podium, composed as ever, and waited a beat before speaking. "Thank you all for being here," he said. "Today is not about numbers. It is about how we work and how we treat one another." Her pulse quickened. He spoke about accountability, about efficiency, about voices being lost simply because they were quiet or new or standing in the wrong place at the wrong time. She felt exposed without knowing why. Then he said her name, clearly, calmly, without emphasis. She froze. "I want to acknowledge someone who joined us recently," he continued. "Someone who challenged a process because it no longer served its purpose." Every eye in the room shifted. Heat rushed to her face. Her breath caught. "She did not wait for permission," he said. "She spoke up when it mattered, and the company is better for it." Applause followed. Polite at first, then stronger. She sat there, stunned, unsure whether to stand or disappear. Her team lead turned toward her, eyes wide with surprise. She forced herself to rise, nodding awkwardly as the room clapped. Her heart hammered so loudly she barely heard anything else. He met her gaze briefly, just long enough, then he moved on. The rest of the event passed in a haze. She smiled when people congratulated her. She thanked them. She kept her composure intact until the crowd began to thin. As she turned to leave, a familiar voice stopped her. "Walk with me." It was not a request. They moved through a side corridor away from the noise, the applause fading behind them. The door closed and silence settled between them again. "I did not ask you first," he said. "No," she replied honestly, "you did not." "Are you angry?" She considered the question. "I was afraid," she said, then surprised. "Now, I am not sure." He nodded. "Visibility comes with a cost." "Yes," she agreed, "but so does being invisible." A corner of his mouth lifted slightly. "That is why I did it publicly," he said. "Your voice deserved more than a quiet acknowledgement." She searched his face, trying to understand what this moment meant. I do not want special treatment, she said carefully. Neither do I, he replied. What I want is honesty, even when it is uncomfortable. They stood there, the weight of unspoken things pressing in. This changes how people see me, she said softly. Yes, he replied, and how you see yourself. She exhaled slowly. I am still figuring that part out. He stepped back, giving her space. So am I, he said. As they walked back toward the light, she realized the mistake that had once terrified her was no longer just a misunderstanding. It was now a line that had been crossed in front of everyone, and there would be no going back. The shift was subtle at first. Whispers that stopped when she walked by, conversations that quieted just enough to be noticed, smiles that felt practiced instead of warm. By Wednesday, it was impossible to ignore. She heard it near the copy room. Fast track. Of course she is. Parking lot girl, right? She kept walking, her face neutral, her steps steady, even as something cold settled in her chest. By Thursday, the tension reached her desk. A senior colleague pushed back hard during a review meeting, dismissing her proposal without fully listening. This is not how we usually do things, he said, voice clipped. Experience matters. She met his gaze. So does efficiency. The room went quiet. After the meeting, her team lead pulled her aside. Be careful, she said gently. People are starting to think you have protection. The word landed heavier than any accusation. Protection. She went back to her desk, staring at the screen without seeing it. The recognition that had felt validating days ago now carried a sharp edge. She did not want this. She did not want favors. She did not want whispers. She did not want to be reduced to a story people told to explain their discomfort. That afternoon, another message arrived. Executive office, requesting your presence. Her stomach dropped. This time, she did not wait. She went straight to his office, knocked once, and stepped inside before doubt could slow her down. You asked to see me, she said. He looked up from his desk, surprised. I was going to come find you. Then let me be clear, she said, voice steady but tight. I do not want special treatment. He leaned back slightly, studying her. I did not give you any, he replied. People think you did, she said, and that matters. Silence stretched between them. You spoke publicly, she continued. You put a spotlight on me without asking. Now I am paying for it. His expression hardened, not with anger, but with something closer to regret. You are right, he said. I underestimated the reaction. She crossed her arms. I worked for this job. I do not want my credibility questioned because of a misunderstanding in a parking lot. That is not what this is about, he said. It is to them, she replied. He stood walking toward the window, hands clasped behind his back. This company has a problem, he said quietly. It protects comfort more than truth. And now I am the problem, she said. No, he replied immediately. You are the disruption. She shook her head. Disruption does not pay the price. People do. He turned back to her, eyes serious. What do you want me to do? He asked. She hesitated. This was the moment. I want distance, she said finally. At work. No more public mentions. No more private conversations that people can misread. He absorbed her words, then nodded slowly. That is fair, he said. And, she added, voice softer now, I need to know that if this costs me opportunities, you will not step in to fix it. His brow furrowed. Why would you want that? Because if I fail, she said, it needs to be on my own terms. He held her gaze for a long moment. You are asking for something most people never do, he said. To stand alone. I already am, she replied. He stepped back, creating space between them. Very well, he said. From this point on, everything stays strictly professional. Relief and sadness washed through her at the same time. Thank you, she said. As she turned to leave, his voice stopped her. You are stronger than you think, he said quietly. Do not let their fear make you smaller. She did not respond. She walked out, heart heavy, knowing that the line she had just drawn might protect her career. But it had also pushed something important out of reach, and neither of them knew yet what it would cost. The distance she asked for worked, at least on the surface. Weeks passed without private conversations. No late meetings. No shared elevators, no lingering looks that could be misinterpreted. He treated her like any other employee, professional and precise, his attention evenly distributed. And the office noticed. The whispers faded, the tension eased. Her name stopped being followed by lowered voices. What did not fade was the work. She stayed late more often now, not because she was asked to, but because she refused to give anyone a reason to doubt her place. She documented everything, double-checked every decision, pushed herself harder than she ever had before. Then came the deadline. The internal project she had helped fix was scheduled for final review by the board. The presentation would determine whether it moved forward or was quietly shelved, taking months of work with it. The night before the review, she was still at her desk, the office nearly empty. The lights hummed softly overhead as she adjusted slides and ran numbers one last time. She rubbed her eyes, exhaustion pressing in. This had to be perfect. She did not hear footsteps until a shadow fell across her desk. "I thought you wanted distance," he said gently. She looked up, startled. "I did," she replied, "and I still do." He nodded. "Then consider this strictly necessary." He placed a folder on her desk. "What is this?" she asked. "Feedback from departments that did not make it into the official report," he said. "It would be unfair for the board to see only half the picture." She hesitated. "Why give this to me?" "Because you are the one presenting," he replied, "and because accuracy matters." She studied him, searching for any hint of favoritism. There was none. "Thank you," she said finally. He did not linger. He turned and walked away, leaving the folder behind. The next morning, the boardroom was full. Executives lined one side of the long table. Board members filled the other. She stood at the front, remote in hand, heart steady despite the stakes. She began. She spoke clearly, confidently. She addressed weaknesses before they were questioned. She acknowledged risks instead of avoiding them. She answered challenges without defensiveness. Halfway through, a board member leaned forward. "This is thorough," he said. "Who led this work?" She took a breath. "I did," she replied, with support from a cross-functional team. The room went quiet. She did not look at him. She did not need to. When the meeting ended, the decision was unanimous. The project would move forward. Outside the boardroom, people congratulated her openly now. No whispers, no sideways glances, just respect earned the hard way. Later that afternoon, she found a message waiting. "Good work today." No signature needed. She stared at the screen for a long moment, then closed her laptop. That evening, as she walked to her car, she paused. The same parking lot, different feeling. She realized something then. She had not needed protection. She had needed opportunity, and he had finally found the right way to give it to her, without crossing a single line. The weeks that followed felt quieter, not empty, just settled. The project moved forward smoothly, and with it, so did her standing in the company. People came to her now with questions, not assumptions. Meetings felt balanced again, fair. She had earned her place, and he kept his word. No special access, no private invitations, no blurred lines. Their interactions stayed professional, measured, respectful. When they crossed paths, there was a nod, sometimes a brief smile, nothing more. Until the Friday evening, the company hosted a small internal reception to mark the end of the quarter. Nothing formal, no speeches, just drinks, soft music, and the rare chance for everyone to breathe. She almost did not go. Then she decided she would not keep shrinking herself to stay comfortable. She stood near the edge of the room, holding a glass of sparkling water, watching conversations rise and fall around her. Laughter drifted. The city lights glowed through the windows. "You look like you are planning an exit," a familiar voice said. She turned. He stood a few steps away, not imposing, not distant, just present. "Habit," she replied honestly. He nodded. "Old ones are hard to break." They stood in silence for a moment, the space between them no longer tense. "I wanted to say something," he said finally, "as a colleague." She raised an eyebrow. "I am listening." "You handled everything exactly the way you asked me to let you," he said. "You proved your point without needing me to speak for you." She took that in. "That mattered to me." "I know," he replied. "It should have." She studied his face, seeing not the chief executive officer, not the authority figure, but the man from the parking lot again, the one who had listened.
"I was wrong about you," she said.
"So was I," he answered. They shared a quiet smile. "I'm stepping back from your team next quarter," he added. "New structure, different oversight." Her heart skipped, then steadied. "Okay. This means," he continued carefully, "that whatever comes next would be a choice, not a complication." She met his gaze, understanding settling between them. "I do not regret the mistake," she said softly, "but I am glad we did not let it define us." He exhaled, a slow release of something held too long. "Neither am I," he said. "It reminded me who I want to be when no one knows my name." Outside, the evening stretched open. As the reception wound down, they walked toward the exit together. In the parking lot, she stopped beside her car. No blocked spaces, no anger, just the hum of the city and the quiet certainty of earned respect. "If you ever want coffee," he said, not assuming, not pushing, "as equals." She smiled. "I would like that." They parted there, not with promises, but with something stronger. Choice. Because the best relationships do not begin with power or fear. They begin when two people meet as themselves, and sometimes all it takes is one honest mistake to make that possible.